Hey everyone, it's Evan and Daxton. Today we're going to go over some tips to catch crappie. If there's not a whole lot of current, I like to use a little bit smaller lures and lighter lures as well. What we have today is a 32nd ounce crappie jig. This is a sickle hook. I like the little bit bigger hooks for crappie. If you're using, Daxton has one. He's using the same jig head, by the way. I like using these for crappies, like I said, with the bigger gap in them. If you're fishing for bluegill, you can use a little bit smaller ones. You can still use a 32nd ounce head, but you're gonna wanna use a, like not a sickle hook, like a little bit smaller hook. And then I like to use a pretty small bait. If you're using something, I found even like this bait, a lot of times you'll get the crappie to bite that tail, unless you're going after some pretty big crappie, which there's not really that many big ones here. So I like to just use something a little bit smaller, like this Bobby Garland. You can get these in almost any color. This is like a mayfly color, but I've used several different colors and caught them. You can use some crappie tubes like this. It's like an 1.5 inch crappie tube. Find that I have good luck with chartreuse and then another color on the top. Red's been working good lately, but you can get black or blue or about any color on top. I just like some kind of chartreuse with it. If there's a little bit more current, you can step it up to like a 16th ounce head. But if there's not much current, like I said, I like using a 32nd ounce head. That way you can move it a little bit slower. You can see the water out here. It's not moving very much. There's not much current. They're just not letting much out from the dam. If you have bigger crappie, you can catch them on something like this, which is an 1/8 ounce head and a 4-inch body. Or I've even caught them on some bigger stuff than that. I've caught them on 1/4 ounce heads and some like 4.5 inch bodies and some bigger bodies too. But most of the time, if you're not catching bigger crappie like 10 or 11 inchers, you're going to be a lot better off just using something like this, because a big crappie will still bite on this.
And I have the same one.
So Daxton's using something a little bit different. It's just a curly tail grub. Again, there's some chartreuse on it, but he's using the same 16th ounce head, or the 32nd ounce head, excuse me. Whenever you're hooking these, I normally just put them in right like this. Just gonna feed it down a little bit. Not quite straight, but that one will work. Curly tail jigs are especially good for smaller kids because it allows them to do more of a straight retrieve. This one you'll have to jerk it a little bit more to make this tail move, but both of them are very effective. It doesn't take a specific rod to use for crappie fishing, but I've been using this medium light rod. You could use a light or an ultralight as well. Any of them will work just fine. This is just what I have as kind of a multi-purpose rod. Then I have a 1000 series spinning reel. Daxton has the same size spinning reel, a 1000 series, but he has an ultralight rod. They both work just fine for crappie fishing. The line that we have this paired with is 6-pound test. And this is more so just because you could catch a lot of different fish here. If I was just going specifically for crappie, I'd probably use more of like a 4 or maybe even a 2-pound test. That way it'll be more sensitive. Probably have a little bit better hookup ratio too. And you can fish for crappie a few different ways too. There's a lot of them, about anything will work. If I like reeling it in slower and just giving it just a little bit of movement. You just want some kind of a rod that's fairly sensitive. I wouldn't really go with anything heavier than a medium light. Even this can be a little bit heavy at times. Got him. Another smaller crappie. You can catch about anything here though. There's yellow bass, there's largemouth, white bass, drum. But most of the time I find that whenever you're fishing this in the middle of the column in the water, you're gonna get crappie. Ah, had a little crappie nip at it. Got him. Just a little guy. That shows you why I like using the smaller hooks too. You can even get these little crappie.
Oh, tiny guy.
Yep, little bitty guy. Toss him back, okay? Got him. A lot of smaller crappie here I've noticed, but there are some nice ones. You just have to catch a bunch of the small ones to get to nicer ones. Got him. If you find a school of crappie, a spillway or something, a lot of times you can get them on about every cast. This wind's making it a little bit difficult to fish with these lighter baits. It's just kind of pulling, the lines pulling across the water. Got one. There he is. A little bit bigger one though, not quite the size we're looking for. Another thing to help you catch more crappie too, with using the lighter head, it allows you to reel it a little bit slower and you can feel more in contact with it, so you can feel when the crappie bite. But a lot of times the crappie don't bite very hard. So you need to be ready for kind of a subtle bite. That's why you don't want a heavy rod either, because you'll tend to miss them. What can happen too out here with all this rock is that you can get stuck on the bottom. Got him. Yeah, I'm catching them left and right. Where you're looking for crappie too, a lot of times they're not in the actual current itself, they're around here and the current breaks. Wherever there's slack, that's kind of where they're going more. So that's where we're targeting, because in here is just a big eddy. That's where a lot of fish are gonna hold. So Daxton, what's your tip for crappie fishing? You have a tip you want to share with people?
I just cast out and I flip it over, and sometimes I do this. One, I showed you that.
Yep.
And from on the other side.
Okay. Oh, you got one, don't you? Yep. Not big enough to keep, but it's going in the right direction. A little bit better crappie.
Can we keep them?
Well, you can put them in the cooler if you want to. Not too bad of a size of one. I was gonna let you guys know too, one of the most important tips whenever you're crappie fishing, if you're not catching fish, you gotta move on. You can't be sitting in a place for a half an hour trying to catch fish. Either they're there or not. Crappie, a lot of times I find, are not very spread out. They're schooled up pretty tight. They're definitely a schooling fish instead of like largemouth or something where they're more spread out. Whenever I was fishing around here, I found they weren't out there very much, and they're more so in here, so I'm gonna move back in here. Crappie move around a fair amount too, so if you stop catching them, you probably just need to move on to the next place, because the school can move and then the fishing will shut off. That's how crappie are a lot of times. They're following the bait fish, so if you can see whatever they're eating, follow that. You caught another one? Yeah, he's just a little guy. Oh, there we go. It's a little bit bigger one. I don't know if he's not quite big enough. He's pretty skinny too. I got one. That's a nicer one. That's a good fish. That's the biggest fish of today. It's a bass, that's why it's so big. No, it's a saga or a walleye.
Oh.
Yep, first walleye of the day.
Can you keep that one?
I doubt he's 14 inches. These have to be 14 inches to keep him. Oh no, he's 14 inches, I guarantee you he is. Yeah, that's a nice walleye. Ow, dang, those things are sharp, man. He cut me with his gill plate. I was just holding him and he slashed into me. That's the first walleye we've caught in a little while. That's just one of these little bitty Bobby Garlands, so you can catch about anything on them. Anything from a little 5-inch crappie to this. He's over 16. There he is, about a 16-inch or so walleye. So we'll go ahead and take him home too. We can't stay too much longer. These fish have quite a bit of meat on. This will have a whole lot more meat than a crappie fillet will. Now, Daxton just caught another one. Right before I could turn the camera on, I watched him catch it. Here you go. Oh, Daxton, he's got the touch.
Keeper?
No. Got him. Little bitty guy. Oh, might have just ticked the bottom. You got one. Jerk it. You got him. A little baby crappie.
Little baby.
Got him. Like I said, there's a ton of them here, but they're all too small, or a lot of them are. Ah. Gosh, I cannot believe how many crappie are here. This is ridiculous. Oh, you got him. Well, I got him too.
Oh, what a walleye.
No, that was a crappie, silly. There we go. Ah, bluegill.
Oh, is that a keeper?
No. Smaller bluegill, but these bluegill, a lot of times you won't hook them because these hooks are just a little bit too big for them. The gap's kind of big. You'll get them sometime. Bluegill fight a lot harder than crappie do, though. There he goes. Oh, now you got another one. There we go. Ah, that's a big enough crappie to keep. Oh, he almost fell back in. Good thing he fell on the concrete, because I was wanting to keep him. Got a little one. I didn't even hardly feel him. Yep, just popped off.
Oh, I didn't even know I had one. That's my goofy end.
With your goofy end technique.
Yeah.
Got him.
Is that big enough to keep?
Yeah, we'll keep him. He's over 8 inches, definitely. A decent sized one. Got him. Yeah, that's another nicer one. Oh, you darn fish.
Little dang.
Yep, little dinky guy. So Daxton found him again. You got one right now. I had a few bites too, but right before that we were really slowing down. And Daxton has another one, so the school's back. But we're gonna have to get going, okay, Daxton?
Okay.
He's just a little guy though. We hope you guys enjoyed this fishing trip, and hopefully you're able... Well, okay, Daxton's got another one. So hopefully you guys are able to learn a few tips from this video. Crappie fishing can be a lot of fun. A lot of times you're gonna catch a lot more crappie than a lot of your other fish, except for if you're on bluegill or red ear. And Daxton's found the school again, definitely. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and take these fish home. We'll flay them. So that'll do it for now, but we'll see you guys back at the house. Here's the catch from today. We ended up getting 1 walleye and 4 crappie that we ended up keeping. We caught quite a few more crappie than that, but we didn't really keep any more. There's a couple more that we could have kept. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed watching, and hopefully you learned a few tips about crappie fishing. But until next time, guys, see ya.